Hey guys, Foxdrop here with another game commentary. This game is a Dr. Mundo replay. This is a game that I played in the past that I am looking back over from the spectator client. Now for my reason Masteries playing as Dr. Mundo, I believe I am either a full attack speed page, so attack speed reds, attack speed Quints, Armour yellows and magic resist blues. Or you can do something kind of cheeky, which is where you have like an attack speed reds and spell vamp Quints, Armour yellows, magic resist blues. Spell vamp, basically the whole aim of the game is that Mundo hurts himself quite a lot when he's clearing the jungle, especially early on. So before you get some items, then you can actually struggle to have good sustain when you're in the jungle. So that's why you can have spell vamp, because it'll help you with your sustain when you're using your Q and your W. But either of those two pages are pretty good. You could even just go like attack speed reds and move speed Quints. Basically you can do whatever you want, but always I would suggest whenever you recall early on in the game as Mundo to buy a few health potions. My masteries, I believe I am something along the lines of, you could probably go like 0-30, 0 to be perfectly honest on Mundo, but I'm probably either 921 or something like, yeah, no, it would be a 921 probably. Now I actually got to my blue buff quite late here because this was another game that I played on stream and I was a bit distracted by the stream chat, so I got there a bit late, didn't get a leash either. But Mundo's Q, his cleaver, is very good for taking away buffs because it does percentage health damage, which means that the more health something has, then the more it gets beaten up by Mundo's cleaver. So it's very good for clearing out the buffs, and you don't really need a lot of help, but you do fall quite low on health. As you can see here, I'm chugging away on all my potions and I'm extremely low, extremely low, and to the extent where I'm actually going to recall here to go and buy some items. Now I'm buying a spirit stone here. You can go for a feral flare Mundo if you want, a very hard carry Mundo, but I think that's a bit riskier and it's not the playstyle I wanted this game. This game I just wanted to be a full-on tank, and I think it's a lot safer to get a spirit stone item as well, because then you get more regen off of your abilities, and like I said, regen was what I was worried about. So here I'm going for a gank onto Jesu. I lob my cleaver into the bush and see that it hits him, which means this guy is probably pretty screwed. We go onto him, beat the crap out of him, and he's dead. I mean, there was nothing special about this gank. Mundo has very good, very simple ganks, simple yet effective ganks. You lob cleavers at people. There's a fair amount of damage. As you can see, I'm going to be maxing my cleaver this game as well, so it does a lot of damage, and it's good CC. It's pretty much spammable, and then you go in and you just beat the crap out of people. And when people are overextended, like that Jace was, especially when your laner has some CC to follow up, like Rise's Rune Prison, it makes for some very easy ganks. But you can see my health here. I didn't take a lot of damage from Jace. This is all the damage I took from pushing the minion wave down. Basically, it was self-inflicted damage. Mundo takes a lot of damage from the jungle just by himself, or from anything just by himself, especially before you get some items. And on the topic of items, I want to talk a little bit about the item build that I will be going. I'm going to be getting a lot of health, and I'm going to be getting very tanky. Now, the reason why health is very good, in fact, health is amazing on Mundo for 3 reasons. The first reason is your passive. Dr. Mundo regenerates 0.3% of his maximum health each second, so the more health you have, the more regen you get from your passive. The second reason is that all of your abilities cost a flat amount of health. So if you only have 100 health and your cleaver costs 70 health, then that is 70% of your health going down. But if you have 1,000 health and you cost your cleaver, which does 70 health, then that's only 7% of your health. So basically, the more health you have, the less the health resource costs, I guess you could say, really hurt you in the jungle. And the last reason is that your ulti regenerates a percentage of your maximum health as well. So the more health you have, the more you heal. And so that's more than enough reason to want to get a lot of health on Mundo. Now I'm looking for another gank bot lane here. This could be a pretty good opportunity. It's nothing overly special, but Mundo is very good with his lobbing cleavers, and it's just a very simple gank. They're overextended. I come in from the side and start lobbing cleavers at people. It's basically what I do, and to see if I get a See if I get a kill off. Unfortunately we don't. But I'm going to stay and push this wave down because the enemy bot lane decided to stay, and I knew I was quite close to 6, which meant that I could use my ult and try and get a dive off. Do have to be careful with the enemy jungler coming around though, which is why, as you see here, I'm actually going to ward this bush so that we can see if someone comes in for the counter dive here, or for the counter gank in the dive. And this is actually a mistake that I made, which I want to rewind and show you guys, is that it's actually very well executed to begin with, and then I make a critical mistake here. So a very good bubble by Nami, followed up by Vayne. But right here, this is the mistake. Vayne was tanking the tower, and right here there are minions. Like, when Vayne drops tower aggro, the tower is going to go onto the minions, and so I can just walk away scot-free. I mean, there's no reason why I would die here. They don't have enough damage to take me down, especially with an army here. But I make the mistake of keeping my burning agony on, my W on, which means that when they jump into my face, they take damage from me for my W, and so that then draws tower aggro, and then I blow my flash because I'm an idiot. So it was just a huge misplay there, and I shouldn't have died, and I did die because I played it poorly. Now I'm going back, and the item, which obviously as you can see I was rushing a Spirit of the Ancient Golem. That's going to be the item that I get first, and it's a very good item to get as a jungler. First item, you get cooldown. You don't really see this too much actually, because nowadays Elder Lizard is very popular just because of the type of junglers that are very popular right now. But for the pure tank junglers still, or for the very tanky junglers, Ancient Golem is still a good choice. And 10% CDI is always nice, especially on the resourceless junglers or resourceless champions. Champions which aren't limited by things like mana. Cooldown reduction is very good to help them spam their abilities. Now, because we've got a Katarina mid, she doesn't need the blue buff, so I can take the blue and just keep upping my levels. However, because I got to my blue quite late because we were fighting bot and I died, my red buff spawned a little while ago, maybe even 10-20 seconds ago, which means that it's because we have no wards around either, that this red buff is, you know, pretty easy if this Shyvana wants to take it. And especially considering the fact that I believe that red buff even spawned as I was doing blue. So, but because I didn't run straight over to the red buff, instead I went wolves, race, and now I've gone to my red. And because I did that, I mean, Shyvana had a huge window of opportunity to take away my red buff. I mean, I was basically asking for that, and it happened. Especially when you're against an aggressive jungler, and especially when you're against an aggressive jungler known for counter jungling and controlling the jungle. You have to get to your buffs on time, or at least have vision to see when they're going to go invade. That's like a textbook 101 error by me, which you really shouldn't be making. And because I made that mistake, I lost my red buff. But I clear out my jungle. Mundo's very fast at clearing when he gets some ranks in his cleaver, and especially when he gets to the point where he doesn't need to worry too much about like killing himself by clearing. And I went to go see if I get anything done mid lane, but Ziggs was too pushed in, so nothing going there. So instead, let's just keep powering through the jungle, getting some farm. Now this would be a pretty good race to be playing as well if I went Feral Flare, but I didn't go Feral Flare, I went Ancient Golem, but it's still not that bad. If you never want to be wasting time. You don't want to be running around and looking for opportunities to gank which really aren't there, trying to force it. You don't need to do that. If you don't see a good opportunity, then just go farm your jungle. There's not really anything to it. I mean, farming jungle is a solid way of generating income, especially when your team doesn't need you. Like, if all my teams would push their towers and struggling, then this type of play would be very risky. But my teams aren't. They're doing okay, and there isn't really much opportunity for me to do anything anyway, so why not just keep clearing the jungle? I mean, Mundo doesn't have his ganks are good, they're fine, but they're very straightforward. There's nothing, you can't do anything special to guarantee the kill. You just have to run to them and lob cleavers at them, which is fine if people are overextended, or if you're tanky enough that you can tower dive people. I mean, that's all good, but you're not going to be able to get any special opportunity to make a gank like someone like Lee Sin would be able to do. So right here I see I'm still looking around for an opportunity to gank, and I see potentially a gank onto Ziggs. I lob a cleaver at him, that hits him in the face, that's nice, but whatever, it doesn't really achieve anything. But I do see here, Shyvana has popped her face up near the mid lane. And I see that, so I ping my mid laner. I'm like, yo mid, let's go collapse on them, which is why I stood in this bush and you could see the spam pings here. And so we managed to get a 2-on-2 fight there, which is really, really nice. Katarina in small skirmishes is amazing, and Mundo in small skirmishes is also pretty strong as well, especially when his ult is running. So we get really, really easy kills there. We get 2 kills for 0, which is great for a Katarina because now she can be snowballing. And because Dragon's up as well, this is a great time to go do drag. Their mid and their jungle are probably still not close enough. They just lost a member of bot lane. I mean, they can't stop this. Mundo with his cleavers again because it's percentage health damage, and Dragon has a lot of health. Mundo takes this away very, very quickly. So we get Dragon there, and you know, the last maybe few minutes have really turned this, not really turned the game, so we weren't necessarily losing it, but really given us a good edge in this game. So take away my blue buff, and then I try to go very quickly over to my red, because I know this cheeky little Shyvana is going to try and steal it away from me, so I want to take it away as soon as possible. I buy a Giant Spell and Chain Vest because that's going to go into either my Randuin's or Sunfire Cape. It really depends what I want to buy. Both are good. Sunfire Cape obviously just leans itself more towards carrying the game, well, not really carrying the game, but having more damage, and Randuin's is better. I think overall it's just, well, whatever, it's Randuin's. It's good for team fights, it's good for the utility, it's a nice item. Now, I had top lane unfortunately just DC'd as well, so I went to go and hold that top lane. As you can see, I walked over to the race. I loved the cleaver at it, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm going to turn around and go top lane, because not only did that top die, but also he then DC'd, which means that he's not going to get back to that lane very quickly, so I'm going to go and hold it and get a free wave of CS. And I'm level 11 now, which is pretty good. It's the second highest on my team, and equal highest from the enemy team, so I'm doing quite well. I mean, I've been powering through this jungle a lot this game. And this is a very safe way to be playing junglers, where you do what you can when you can, and then the rest of the time you just farm the jungle, push lanes, hold lanes. You know, I'm pretty much, you're guaranteed to get farm, to get fed or to get strong by playing like this. And because people always this is the thing with Mundo, is they always underestimate how tanky he is when he has his ulti running, or when his ulti's up. They think, oh, he's kind of low on health, we can kill him. But unless you can instantly burst him, unless you can burst him through his ulti, then he's very tanky. I mean, it's hard to take him down, and as you saw with what happened to Ziggs there, he underestimated that, and he tried to kill me, and so we got a free kill off onto him. And now I'm just, as you can see, I'm putting some wards down. I've done that occasionally on here as a jungler. You kind of want to be putting some wards down just to keep your lane safe. But this is a really good opportunity to gank here now, because their bot lane was very pushed up. So if their bot is pushed up, we can come in from behind and we can make the play. And because I'm very tanky here as well, because I have a lot of armor, I have a lot of health, and because I have my ulti running, I can tower dive this very easily. I mean, I've been tanking this tower for yonks, and I'm still tanking it, and my team just mops up and gets a free kill, gets all those kills. Not only did we get, I mean, we got 1 kill, we got the Lucian from the initial gank, and then we followed up with a tower dive, and we got 2 more kills. And I wasn't even really, even that close to dying myself, because Mundo, when you're playing these full tank junglers, you can engage tower dives very easily. And we also managed to push down that tower, and because they had people dead, I mean, why stop pushing? We can keep going, and we can keep getting things. And so we've got another tower as well, which is great. But we do need to these bot needs to be careful they don't overextend here, which is of course exactly what's happening. But we can't stay, we can't fight. So I'm just going to lob some cleavers to try and save this Vayne, or try and keep this enemy team away from Vayne somewhat. But Jay shows up. I get so close to dying, but I flash away. My ulti's popping, and I am legging it right now. I am absolutely pegging it, trying to get away, not dying, and still lobbing some cleavers for safety. So I'm on, like, my health is really high again, because I'm Mundo, and I'm still gonna join this fight. And this fight can still work quite nicely for us. If they try to do this dragon, it's actually kind of risky, because I've got smite, we can collapse, we can close in on them, and they're probably gonna die. Instantly Shyvana gets popped. I re-aggro the dragon, and they can't do anything. Like, this dragon fight for the enemy team was not a good idea, obviously, because he died. But they shouldn't have tried that when I'm still around. What they had thought, this is again, people are underestimating Dr. Mundo as a champion. And part of that is just because he's not played so much right now. He's very rarely seen as a jungler. Even as a top laner, he's not seen that much. But he was seen a lot more in the past, I suppose you could say. But you know, people think I'm really low on health. Oh, the enemy jungler's really low on health. Let's go do dragon. Which is very. That makes a lot of sense. It's a good call. But when it's Dr. Mundo who has his ulti running, then he's not really gonna be that low. I mean, I healed, I got back into that fight on like 70% health after being on like 1% health. You have to be very careful, and you have to appreciate Dr. Mundo's immense regeneration with his ulti and with his passive. Now, after I recalled here, I bought a ninja tabby just to make for the move speed, so I can cling onto people a bit easier, but also more importantly, obviously, for the tankiness against a Jace, Lucian, and Shyvana. But specifically against Jace and Lucian, the ninja tabby is really going to reduce the damage that I take. It's going to be quite a nice tank item overall. It's not so bad versus Shyvana either, because she does hit you with quite a few basic attacks, but the majority of her damage tends to be magic damage and not from her basics. But as you can see from this past minute or so as I've been talking, I've just been completely in their face doing things. I've just been all over them. I even got caught by like 5 people and just walked away. I popped my ult and walked away, and that was that basically. There was nothing special to that. And even now, I'm doing the same thing. I mean, I'm just really tanky right now, and this is what you want to be doing when you're playing these tanky people. Especially if you're Mundo, when you've got your ult up, or you know your ult's about to come up. You don't need to be afraid, you don't need to stay away. You can stay around for a very long time, very long period of time, especially if you're building cooldown reduction as well. I've got some cooldown reduction, not a huge amount, but enough to make this, my ulti only be on like a minute cooldown or something like that. It's pretty ridiculous. I can stay around for a very long time. And the other item that I bought here is a Spectre's Cowl, which is going to build into my Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage is great on Mundo because it gives you cooldown reduction, which is awesome. It gives you health, which is great, and it increases the regeneration that you have, which is amazing for his ulti specifically, but also even for his passive. It's very useful. It's just a very nice item overall for Dr. Mundo. As you can see with my other items as well, I bought 2 wards. You never want to forget to keep warding. Always buy wards. Keep your wards up. I don't really need to explain why wards are good. You just always want to have wards up. You want to be keeping pressure on the map and making sure you know where the enemies are. Especially if you're ahead in the game, you can throw the game if you don't know where the enemies are. If you're making bad decisions because you have bad vision. And again, like I was saying a little while back with how much I'm just like running around bullying people, right there, I would just stood under the tower and just beat on people for a while. I mean, I'm just so tanky, and I'm playing like I'm in their face because I know I can get away with this kind of stuff because I am just ridiculously tanky. So while we're sieging this mid a little bit, why not farm up the race for a tiny amount? Not wasting any time, just doing some nice things. But there's not really too much going, and this is a game which, if I remember correctly, we could have closed out a lot easier. Like at this point right here, if we just buy like a pink ward, maybe I should have a sweeper as well. If we do these things and we try to force a Baron play, we don't even need the Baron itself. We could just force them to try and come and stop us from doing Baron, and then we could turn on the fight. Because I'm so tanky and we're so far ahead that we could turn a fight and we could just kill them, and we could probably push down after that as well. Especially whenever you want to be doing a Baron play, it's very risky if you have no one who is tanky, to the extent where I would never recommend doing Baron unless the enemy team are all dead, if you don't have someone tanky to take it, or unless you can like rush it down or something like that. You have to be, unless you can get it really quickly, you need someone tanky to take out that Baron damage. So that's why we could bait Baron, or why we could do it when they were alive, because I could stand there and I could take the brunt of this Baron's damage, and then we could still turn and fight without all of us being really low on health. I would be the only one who had taken damage, and because I'm so tanky, it wouldn't really matter that much, especially when I'm Mundo with my ulti and all that regeneration stuff, which I've said a million times already. So recalling here, we're just trying to we're just ticking this game over, but really this is another, we're not really doing anything. We're not really forcing the game down. We need to, like, pink sweepers, go do Baron. That's really what we need to do right here, because we don't really have a very good team for sieging. Katarina's awful at sieging because she's a melee champion. She doesn't have a very good wave clear. Vayne is pretty bad at sieging as well, because I want to pause this actually because I want to talk about this in a sec. Vayne is very bad at sieging because she's pretty much the lowest range AD carry. Mundo isn't so bad because he's tanky. I mean, it's always nice to have a tanky person, but we're a bad siege team. Ryze is awful at taking down towers, like really bad. He's just pathetic at doing it. So we can't force the towers down, so we have to kind of draw them out, and the best way to do that is with Baron. Now, I want to mention this as well, because I remember when this happened, it was it's pretty embarrassing but pretty funny at the same time. So we see Jace is recalling here on low health, so I put my ulti to chase him. We also have Nami closing in on the wings here. So this Jace is dead, like pretty much 100% dead. However, as we see here, I ward this to see where he's going, to see whether he's going up or whether he's going down, to stop him from juking me. Nami's running around as well, so we're going to go close him in. And this is where we make pretty much like the worst play imaginable. I love a cleaver at him, and I miss him. I just completely miss him. So that means that he's gone from 100% dead to 80% dead. It's like when you watch, whenever you have a really bad sleeping pattern and you see poker on the TV at like 5 in the morning, and you see the percentages next to the hands as the river and the flops coming around. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. And then the percentages change. I was holding a hand which had like a 90% win chance. I lobbed that cleaver. Now my percentage of killing this Jace and winning has gone down. In addition to lobbing this cleaver, Nami she warded here and ran the opposite direction. Like, she has zero awareness this is even happening. So I'm chasing Jace down a bit more. He knocks me back, so again my percentage goes down even more. And then I try to lob a cleaver at him, and it's just, I'm out of range. And Nami realizes too late. I mean, it was just the worst play imaginable. Like, I miss all my cleavers. I mean, that's just like going all in on pocket aces and then the other guy getting a royal flush or something. I just played that so bad, and just it's humiliating. It's absolutely awful by both of us. But whatever. I mean, sometimes you need to be able to laugh at yourself when you make dumb decisions like that. So now that was actually a pretty good play by us to rotate and to try and get the tower push there. Unfortunately, our Ryze was doing blue buff and our Vayne was doing red buff. Now, again, it is easy to say something like, what are you doing? Why aren't you grouping? We had a good opportunity to do that. You should have been with the team, blah, 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 blah. You can easily make those arguments and whatever. But there's no point doing that. I mean, that is a mistake by them, yes. However, it is also an equal mistake by us to try and force that tower down when there's only 3 of us. Like, we know that the people are on red. We know they're on blue. Our team are on blue and red. Why are we trying to force that play? Why are we trying to push that tower down? Why are we trying to make it happen when they're not there? When it's simply not happening. Why? And why am I standing in spawn still? Okay, good. Something must. This was another stream game as well, so something. Maybe I was just like singing into the stream or something. I don't quite remember. I'm gonna rewind this actually, because this is a typical Mundo fight as well. But I just want to wrap up what I was saying before, is that pushing down, if you're in solo queue and this happens, then don't rage at your team for not being there. Rage at yourself for starting it, because it's just as much your mistake as it is theirs. Now, this is typical Mundo right here. They're pushing down the towers, so I put my ult and I just run at them. I'm zoning hard onto the Ziggs mostly because I know he's an easy target, and 4 people are just on me, and I'm just taking it all and walking around. I flashed even though I probably didn't even need to flash. I take one down by myself and distract all of them, and we get 2 kills. I mean, that's kind of what you want to do in Mundo. You put up your ulti, you run at people, and you take them down. That's basically how you play Dr. Mundo. And you don't want to be playing passive or scared or anything like that when you are as strong as you are, or as strong as I am. You want to be aggressive. You want to have that kind of pressure and that presence in the team fights, because it's important that you do that, and it's very easy to do that when you're playing Mundo. So right, what we did there, that maybe we probably should have taken the tower, but it doesn't matter. But again, we're delaying this game because we're not grouping, and now we decide to do Baron. Like, this is something we could have done like 10 minutes ago. And look how fast it goes down. When you're Dr. Mundo and you can lob your axes, your cleavers to do percentage health damage. Gonna rewind that because we just got absolutely destroyed. And you've got a Vayne who does true damage based on percentage health and has a Blade of the Roaring King. And you've got Ryze who's very good at sustained DPS. I mean, this thing dies pretty much instantly. We could have done this so long ago, but this is a mistake here. Right, so this mistake right here is that the first mistake is that we are chasing into Fog of War. You very rarely ever want to chase into Fog of War. The second mistake is that the front line is our AD carry and support, and a squishy support at that, who is the worst. The people who you don't want to be your front line. They should be behind me basically. So what happens because we make this mistake? This is what happens. We get absolutely mullered. We get completely destroyed. And so we take Baron, and then just 2 of us instantly die. I mean, which is the worst thing to have happen. And it even looks like my whole... Yeah, and then my team tries to fight, which is obviously not what you want to do either. In that instance, we should just cut our losses and recalled. So 4 for 1. We get Baron, but we lose 4 people just because of sloppy play. Like there was, you know, we do a bad face check, and we then try and fight for some reason. Like, it's just not smart plays. Now there are times when this would be a moment where in solo queue you could just like rage your team and be like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you chasing? And it's stuff like this which does kind of inspire frustration and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of understandable. I mean, that is just but it's a bad play, but these plays happen. Like if I just started raging at everyone and moaning and complaining and getting mad, then this game would be over. Like, the game is not over right now, but if I had given in to frustrations here and just raged at everyone, the game would be over. But at the end of the day, you know, you can always do more yourself, but sometimes you know, it just happens. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes you know, there's just nothing to say really, except that it happens, and don't give in to it. Don't give in to the frustrations. Don't give in to the anger. Don't stray into the dark side. You know, it's not worth it. Now, because I see this Katarina is pushing top, and I also saw someone was rotating over, I wanted to try and help her, but I got there too late. But you know, just like I did in that dragon play a little while ago, I just run at the enemy team. I mean, this is how I do. This is how I roll on Mundo. I mean, when like I said before, when you want to have this pressure, you want to have this presence, and you're tanky enough, just run at them, and just make them scared of you. Like, there's no reason why you should be passive or why you should be staying away if you know you're not gonna die. I blow summoners from the enemy team. I'm putting pressure considering this Vayne is split pushing bot lane. It's all good stuff, and yeah. So right now what we really need to be doing is we either need to be grouping as 4 and pressuring one lane while Vayne split pushes and pressures another, or we need to be probably more ideally is Vayne wants to be grouping with us. It's the game's kind of being a bit delayed where I think we could, I mean I've said this a lot already, we could just end this game, but we're not doing that right now. But anyway, here's a team fight. I pop my ult team, pop my W, and just run at the enemy team. Now, this is a really nice army ult because they're in a bit of a choke point. So that's going to knock up a lot of people, and if it doesn't knock up a lot of people, then it's going to scatter them. It knocks up Ziggs, and so I'm just chasing after him. I mean, this is what I've been doing every single team fight, basically. I zone in on a carry, and I just beat the crap out of them, or at least I try to. And because I am so strong and scary, what this means is that the enemy team then also tries to pill me. They try to protect their carries from me, but because I'm just too beefy, I'm just too strong, they don't really have an effective way to deal with me. They're not strong enough. So because they do that, they spend a lot of resources onto me, and even if they did pill me, even if they got rid of me, they killed me, they protected their carries, they spent so much on me, all that time my carries, my team can then do stuff as well. So it's a win-win situation for me if I just zone in on their carries, especially when I am this this strong, when I'm this tanky. Now, I'm not really, you know, it's not like I dominate this game as far as kills go and stuff like that. You know, I didn't run around the map killing everyone. I didn't go legendary or anything like that. But I did spend a lot of time farming. Like I was saying, farming is a very reliable way to get strong and to get fed. And so I am strong and I am fed, and I just ran at the enemy team basically, and now, you know, they can't deal with me. So now this game is in a really good spot for us with that inhib down. They have no outer towers, it's just inhibs and inhib towers. And so if we can make a play on the next Baron, or we can just catch them out of position, or we can get a nice push going if we group up or something like that, then this game is probably going to end very soon. As you saw with the last fight, we weren't even all 5 grouped. Vayne was around she was doing white camp and wolf camp before she came, but because I am tanky enough to stall out a fight, because it's not like getting caught and then one of us instantly dying, because I have a lot of tank items, I was able to survive long enough to, like I say, to drag the fight out so that Vayne could then join in later on. And I'm allowed to do things like this as well. I'm allowed to just walk up to them and just run at them and force something, force them to react to me. And a lot of times when you force situations onto people, when you make them react to you, oftentimes that's going to work in your favour, because they will react poorly. If put on the spot, players often react poorly, and that's kind of a good philosophy for you to be having playing your games, and if you want to carry games as well, is that if you force a certain playstyle onto your enemy team, if you are always in their face, then they have to react to you, and they're gonna, a lot of times they just react poorly, and it works in your favour. Now, this is something which we probably should have done a little while back, is like I was saying, grouped up for Baron. Well, grouped up and Baron was the 2 things we should have done. And we ended up grouping up, and then the enemy team got caught quite a lot. But that's really how this game should have gone, is that we should have just grouped earlier. I should have asked my team to group up a bit more, because I know I wasn't coordinating my team well enough this game. That's a definite fact. I remember that. So I can't complain. No, I can't rage and say, "Oh, Vayne, why did you never group?" You know, stuff like that. Because I never made any attempts to tell her, "Yo, Vayne, let's group." And people don't always listen to you, and that's fair enough. But if this Vayne had been completely ignoring me and didn't want to group, then I could have at least, you know, grouped with them. If people don't group with you, you can always group with them. So that's what we should have done to have this game end sooner. But still, it was a nice display of Dr. Mundo at pretty much his quintessential benefit playstyle, where he just plays like a huge beefcake, and it's very hard to deal with. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this commentary, guys. If you did like it, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to me for more educational league content with a bit of entertaining stuff on the side as well. You can catch me on my Facebook or my Twitter, which is links to those are in the description, or you can catch me streaming on Twitch as well. Like I say, this was a streamed game, so you could see these kind of games live as well if you wish. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in my next video.